almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
Well, for so many people out there today, it's good old Super Bowl Sunday, isn't it? And we got a special episode just for that, or should we call it the Superb Owl, because there is, what a lot of people don't understand, there is so much occult attachment to the sport of football alone, let alone the Super Bowl. I mean, why do you think every year, isn't it like every year they show like some sort of ritual they do? I mean, back in the day, they didn't do it as much, but every year it seems like they have some type of weird ritualistic type halftime show. And I can guarantee you this year will be no different. Or like, because people just love their distractions. And it's like, good old Bill Cooper used to say, give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. And that's really what it is. Give the people a distraction and they won't revolt. The good thing is, though, that I really truly believe, in a sense, though, it seems like a lot of you guys are starting to wake up to the truth of what's really going on around us. Because, I mean, a long time ago, like, I'll put it this way, if I would have brought this up back in the day, not only would people consider it fringe, they probably wouldn't care. They would think you're nuts. You know, they'd just be like, oh, come on, man, I want to watch my game. You know, I want to watch my favorite team win, or, you know, we want to have our Super Bowl party. But what's crazy is that it's actually not considered crazy anymore to talk about these things. That when the truth is really brought to people, people are more open to actually listening to it. But yeah, football alone, and not just the Super Bowl, but football alone is very occultic in nature. And if you look it up, I'm going to give you guys, we're going to just dive right into it for this episode. So first off, football, if you look at it, is actually, it stems back to, it's ritualistic, okay? It comes from pretty much, it's like a grounding, stomping type ritual of when they were seeding the grounds and stuff, like back in the day. So I'll put something on screen that you guys can check out and look this up, and look into this, because it's actually pretty interesting when you look into it. But it's not even the fact of the Super Bowl being like this, you know, esoteric so much, like this deep meaning into it as much, because there is, but there's so much numerology, like occult numerology in the sport alone, like just in the sport alone in modern times. But when we really look to where, you know, it originally comes from, you know, the Roman gladiator days. It comes from, it was originally, I mean, it goes back as far as ancient China, and it was a rough sport. Like, it originally obviously comes from rugby, which, you know, they don't even wear any pads in rugby, and they mess each other up pretty bad. But it's always been a sport to distract the masses from the world, because it you know, even nowadays, even with all the padding and stuff, you can't tell me that you know, a lot of football players end up with permanent, you know, brain damage and stuff. So it's ritualistic in a lot of different ways. And what's wild is you guys had seen it with what had happened with that one guy. I think I know it was a couple years back, who he got hit, taken off the field, and the way he got hit, it looked like he snapped his neck, and then he came back wearing that real, like, demonic type shirt that he was wearing from, I forget, it was called, like, Freeman Jack or something, or I forgot the name, Cactus Jack or something clothing. It's by that, I think it was a Travis Scott clothing, but it was some type of demonic clothing. He came back, and they even said he didn't even really look like himself. Or no, that's what it was. He came back, and they said that there's like no way he could have healed from that injury that fast, because he like pretty much broke his neck. I remember that was like a few years back, but that was pretty wild. But no, as far as like the sport of football alone, there's just stuff about it, like when you really study it and look at it, it's like, wow, you know, I never really thought about that before. Because, for example, if you want to get into the numerology side of it, okay, look at it this way. How many times have I showed you guys this? Okay, first of all, there is how many, we'll get into the numbers game here. There's how many players on the field. There's 11 players on each team. Okay, so that's 22 players on the field. There's your master number. Now, people ask me all the time, okay, I'll put it on the screen. All right, so what your master numbers are. All right, so it's 11. So, because 11 plus 11 makes 22. All right, so you got your master number there. You have your 11 players on each side, because we all know 9, 11. So I'm not going to get into the, you know, explaining myself on the numerology. If you guys will have to go watch my videos on that. But pretty much we all know the different Illuminati numbers. So before I run into the numerology, for some of the people that don't know, I'll explain it to you like this. So you're like they say 6, 7, your 6s, your 7s, your 11, your 22, your 33, your numbers like that. So your master numbers, and then those your other numbers, like I said, 6, 7, 11, those numbers are always, you'll find them everywhere. And the 1, 5, the 15. So pretty much, if you look into, we'll even start back as far as, like I said, so you have 22 people on the field. All right, you got 11 on each team. Okay. Your 1, 5 that I've always showed you guys all the time. If you look at football, you have 4 quarters, okay, which is made up of what? 15 minutes. So you have, there's your 1, 5, 4 quarters, 15 minutes. All right, and the 4 quarters, obviously, in the occult represents, you know, like you'll see the movie. If you guys ever seen the movie The Craft, where those girls were witches. They needed the 4th one. So 4 is another big number because it represents in the occult north, south, east, and west. So you have your 4 quarters, you have 15-minute quarters, okay? And then you have your 6, 7, because if somebody scores a touchdown, okay, they get it's 6 points. And then if they get a field goal, you got your 7. So technically you either have 6, or if they miss it, they have 7. So you have your 6 and you have your 7. All right, so you put them together, what do you got? Got 13. So there's numerology all over football, in the game of football. It's really wild when you look at it. And even more so, I mean, the number 8, for example. So some people would say, oh, well, then that's like every number out there. Well, no, not really. It's more so with numerology, so people understand this. There's certain numbers that just don't really mean much in the occult, but a lot of numbers mean different things. It's just what it stands for, technically. Like 3, you know, in the occult, it'll be the mocking of the Holy Trinity, in a sense. Okay, so 3 will be the mocking of the Holy Trinity. 22 is 2 and 2, and where they get that from is, like, I've explained this before. 2 is very, you'll see, like, there was something I seen it on the news today. Every time I see something on the news, it's like 2 people shot, 2 people this, 2 people, you'll see 2 all the time pop up as well. And the reason for that is because I've explained this before. 2 is the magician's number, because in Roman numerals, it's 1 mirrored twice. So 2 is, that's why they put, you know, like here's the perfect way I'll explain this. So in Roman numerals, 2, it looks like an 11, okay? And that's where you get your 11 too. So 11 and 11 is 22, but if you mirror 1 and 1, you get 2. So it's wild when you kind of break it all down. the way they look at this, because like I said, it's a mirrored number. So that's what the 2 represents for them. So you'll see the 22 all over the place. Like, for example, the National Football League was named the National Football League in what? 1922. So it's all over the place. And then people will ask me, oh, well, even though, I mean, the people on my channel have known, I've showed you guys the 1-5 in so many events, so many times. You guys know the numerology, you've seen it. But 1-5 stands for, because see, just like things are mirrored, like in the occult, they're reversed. Okay. For example, you'll see, like, I'll just give you an easy example, like Eminem the rapper. Okay. You'll notice this in people's names, what they do this, like how he flips one of the E's, they invert stuff. Just like how people understand in the occult, a lot of, that's why they're trying to make transsexuals so normal, like inverting. They invert things, they flip it, like they flip the cross upside down. The pentagram is flipped upside down. Here's another thing I'll show you. This is why I believe the Patriots are going to win. Look at their logo, okay? The logo of the Patriots is 2 horns, okay? That's technically looks like 2 horns. And then if you look at the star on its head, okay, it's an inverted star. It's the Baphomet, okay? The goat's head, the Baphomet, is right there on the Patriots logo. So for people to understand, that's what I'm saying. Everything is flipped, inverted, reversed. It's just the way the occult works. They flip it, they invert it, they reverse it. It's just how it is. But the numerology is all over the place with the Super Bowl. And there's so much other stuff, like the breakdown I posted the other day of the guy who was explaining about all of the symbology behind this specific Super Bowl, about the blackouts. Now, how many times, okay, you guys can go back and watch the videos. How many times did I tell you guys about the blackouts? I've made at least 3 episodes about, I've made full episodes, I've made reels. I've been telling you guys for the longest time that it might be because of the reset, but when things start, it's going to start with the blackouts. And then they said Bad Bunny's got the black dog, and then the blackouts, all that type of stuff that's going to happen. And then now they're talking about some type of thing that's supposed to happen during the Super Bowl. Oh, and for example, remember the Super Bowl we had where they everything blacked out for real quick? It was like all the lights went out. That one Super Bowl, I forget which one that was. It was a while back though, but I remember everything just went out. It went black. So I think in a sense they're like kind of prepping you for things to come. Now, I know like this show will be released before the Super Bowl starts today. So you guys will have a chance to, for those of you that watch the show early, you'll get a chance to watch it before the Super Bowl actually comes out. But like I said, I 100% believe. Now, before, people laugh like when I made my prediction, because I was like, oh, the Broncos are going to get in, and the Rams, because the Rams, the Baphomet in a sense, and then the Broncos represent because we're going into the year of the fire horse, which is pretty odd, you know, being that's like one of the horsemen and the horsemen that it represents. But that's a whole nother story that I've told before. But that's what I'd said, that because of that. And they even said like the Denver airport, think about it, the big Lucifer statue they have over at the Denver airport that killed the guy who made it. So that's why I just thought that I could see them getting in and winning the Super Bowl because of that. But now it makes more sense when somebody commented on the channel. They said, no, we're going to be going into war. So that's why the Patriots are going to win. It's going to be symbolic for that reason. They want everybody thinking of patriotism. So that way it's like it's subconscious. They want you guys all thinking, oh yeah, go America, patriotic. So the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. So you'll see, I called it before this. I mean, and I should go hedge a bet on it, but Nah, I don't want to. I don't want to bet on nothing. I'm trying to be a good Christian man, so I could go hedge a bet on it. And I don't know. I'd be very surprised if the Seahawks win. I really would be, because like I said, the symbology is just not there for me. Of, you know, I tried to look at the Seahawks and say, you know, is there something there of why you know, they might win, but I'm not seeing any, you know, symbolism there. I'm seeing the symbolism with the Patriots, though, definitely. But like I said, football in general is very highly symbolic. Like, another thing, nobody's going to talk about the fact that from above, football stadiums look like eyeballs. Like, they look like an eye. They look like the all-seeing eye. Nobody's going to talk about that. I've probably heard maybe once before somebody talk about it, but I find that very crazy. Like how if you look at them, stadiums from above look like the all-seeing eye, and it really all comes down to distractions. Distractions are abound everywhere, especially with oh yeah, are we supposed to go, like they said in the Epstein files? It said today's date, we're supposed to go to World War III, supposed to start today, supposedly, and somehow they picked this date, which is funny. They're saying is in the good old Epstein files. And I mean, I think really, in a sense, people need to watch how distracted they are, because people are super distracted by these Epstein files. And I mean, unless we're going to do something about it or demand something's done, we need to probably look at what are they distracting us from, because we have distractions with, you know, the football games, and with the Super Bowl. We have distractions with this Epstein file stuff. You know, there's a lot more going on. Like Hillary Clinton's supposed to testify, saying she's going to testify now. So there's a lot of stuff going on that they're really doing their best to distract us from. So I think it's best to be hyper vigilant and being careful that we're not distracted from what's really going on. Because like I said, Bill Cooper, you know, said it, and he was right back in the day. It's the Roman circus. That's what it really is. And that's where it originally comes from. Football originally comes from gladiator style rugby. And then think about this. Nobody thinks about, you know, a football. They say, oh, let's go throw around the old pigskin. It used to be made out of pigskin, okay, out of a pig bladder. All right. People do not think about that, you know, pigs essentially represent a lot of things in the occult. But it's not just the fact that it's the pig, okay? It's the fact that it's bound. They would take a pig's bladder and they'd bound it in leather, okay? And as you can see, I'll put it on the screen, leather is very big in the occult. It's big in attire. It's big about grounding of what it's about, but it's also big in like the attire that is war, and it's very ritualistic, and people don't understand that. So I find that very interesting that they're throwing around a ball that originally, like these balls, like they're and you know they still are, but they're bound in leather. It's a leather bound ball that used to be made of a pig. So I mean, people don't even realize the symbolism is just all over the game of football. It really is. It really is. And it's distracted people enough to where people spend, I guess, no, and see, I heard this too. I mean, I don't have any validity to this, and I don't know if this is true, but they say, oh yeah, the Super Bowl is going to be it's one of the highest child trafficking days because everybody's paying attention to the Super Bowl, so they're doing all their child trafficking. I don't know how true that is. That'd be crazy if that is true. But what I did hear was this Super Bowl is actually going to be the most highly televised Super Bowls of all time. Like, it's going to be in like all countries. So is something going to happen that they want everyone to see around the world? That makes you wonder. And I mean, making it early enough for it to be, morning in Los Angeles, for it to be noontime on the East Coast, and then it'll be nighttime, around the world. Everybody's going to be watching. So will there be some big surprise? And then they have the whole thing saying, oh, the Super Bowl logo this year looks like the emergency broadcast system, and there's going to be something with that. The EBS system is going to get activated or something. So I mean, that's why they do it with these halftime shows a lot of times. There's a lot of ritualistic stuff that happens around these, because you got to remember too, even when they do plays and they get in huddles, okay, and circles. If you watch like in the occult, they all get inside of a circle, okay, and it's just everything about the whole game, when you really pick it apart, is very highly occultic. And a lot of people just don't see it, but they should, because essentially we're taking part in these rituals. If we don't, now, if you're watching it with the eye to decode it, like I had somebody that messaged on my page yesterday, and they were like, we should just focus on Jesus and not focus on any of this stuff that's going on. And I said, no, wrong. We're called to expose evil, the Bible tells us, and we're called to, it says to be as wise as serpents. How am I going to be as wise as a serpent if I'm not studying the serpent to know how they move and how they're coming at me and how they're distracting us? If I don't study them to bring the information to you guys, or nobody does, then we're all just going to be, dumb, and we're not going to know what's going on, and we're going to be getting attacked by the enemy left and right. So somebody has to study it. Somebody has to bring the information to the people. And I just don't believe in this bury your head in the sand and just keep your faith and that's it, which faith does everything. Everything's possible through God. And that's not to say that all of our faith and hope should be put in Jesus Christ. I'm saying we can strengthen our faith and the armor and put on the full armor of God when we can see all these things for what they really are. That's really just what it is. And that's what it's always about. It's about keeping your eyes open.